What's up guys? So I've been wanting to make this video for a very long time, which is just a handbook to rising as the title says. So whenever you want to start rising your Linux desktop and you want this very specific program or tool, then you can come here because I will mention all of the useful programs and tools that you'll probably need to start rising your Linux desktop from start to end. And we're just gonna start off the video with our bootloader, which is gonna be either Grub or Refine D. Now most of you have probably heard of Grub because it's the default bootloader on so many distros, and Grub is super customizable. By default it just looks okay, right? And I actually just used default Grub, or at least the default Grub theme that came with my distribution, and I don't bother to change it that much. But if you do actually care about your bootloader, then you can customize Grub either by making your own Grub theme, or you can use this program called Grub Customizer, or you can just install a Grub theme that already exists. You can find good Grub themes from pling.com. That's a great place for finding these config files and GTK themes, wallpapers, all of that stuff, right? And the other thing we probably need is a display manager. Now the two biggest options are probably STDM and LY. LY is not that popular, but STDM is the most customizable one out there, and you can install many STDM themes, or you can make your own, and it works pretty cool, right? It uses KDE's Qt as a base. You also have GDM, which uses GTK4, I think, and LY is a completely TY based display manager. It's what I use. It's very minimal. I've talked about it in the past. It is customizable. You can change some stuff, like the background color, the foreground color. You can even add some effects like a matrix effect if you want to do all of that. And the next thing you probably want is a window manager, and I'm just not gonna mention window managers or desktop environments really in this video, because that's up to your choice, right? But I will just mention some big ones, right? So first of all, if you're preferring the Wayland route or the Xorg route, that doesn't really matter that much. You can use these desktop environments, right? If you want to use a desktop environment, the two biggest ones are KDE Plasma and GNOME. KDE Plasma is very easily customizable. On GNOME, you have to use stuff like extensions to customize it, and GNOME does look a little bit more consistent. For example, you can have a system-wide dark and light theme. That's pretty cool, and that are those desktop environments. You also have stuff like XFCE, which is for Xorg only. There will be a Wayland version coming soon, and XFCE is this really lightweight one that's also super customizable. Then moving on to window managers, you'll have some stuff like i3, DWM, Sway, Hyperland, BSPWM, all of that. You can simply search the internet for the top 10 window managers or whatever, or you can go to Reddit and find the window manager you want there. I will just mention some of my favorite ones, and one of my most favorite window manager is actually DWL. It's the one that I'm currently using. It is DWM for Wayland, which means that my second most favorite window manager is actually DWM. Third one will probably be Sway, and fourth one will probably be Awesome Window Manager. Some other ones that are worth considering is Nuri, which is a scrolling Wayland compositor, and also Hyperland, which is a super customizable, very cool little Wayland compositor written in C++. And that's it for window managers and Wayland compositors. And moving on, we probably need a status bar. Now, with many window managers or Wayland compositors, there is a built-in status bar. For example, in DWL, you can add this bar patch that will give you the status bar. But sometimes when you're on a Wayland compositor like Hyperland, then you don't have a bar. So for Wayland, you have options like Waybar and EMBar is another good one. You also have Gbar for Wayland. On Xorg, however, the most popular one is Polybar. So you'll see someone on BSPWM, let's say they're going to be using Polybar, right, on BSPWM. And on i3 as well, you can use Polybar or the default i3 bar. And the next thing we probably need is a GTK theme, right? And I'm just gonna jump into GTK themes. I just use one that looks good for me because I don't care about GTK theme going along with my race. So you can see that I have a very green race, and then my GTK theme looks like this because all I use my GTK applications for is just to drag and drop files, which I have also found terminal tools to drag and drop files. I will look into that. Some viewer told me about that, and that looks cool. So currently I just use my file manager, which is the only GTK application that I'm using, that I know I'm using, right? And you can use many GTK themes. I will just mention some cool ones, like Adapter Nocto is a good one, right? If you're doing an adapter race. Arc is also a good one if you're doing like a one dark race, one dark color scheme. And you also have some stuff like Breeze Dark. Breeze Dark is basically KDE Plasma's default theme, and it's a port to GTK because KDE Plasma uses Qt, and I'm using Materia Dark here. And that's it for GTK themes. For icon themes, you can just use Papyrus. Papyrus is probably the most popular icon theme, and it has a whole lot of icons. I use Breeze Dark though. Now let's talk about terminal emulators. Now I use KDE as a terminal emulator mainly because it's super fast and it has all of these customization features, most of which I don't really care about, but you know what, if it works, right? Some other ones that are worth considering is Ghosty, which is a pretty new one. It's written in Zig, I think, and the thing with KDE is that it's actually faster than Ghosty for me, and KDE is partly written in Python, right? So Ghosty is written in Zig, and it's GTK4 based, I think, so it's got that nice little GTK4 thing to it. It's very customizable, obviously, and it has a pretty simple configuration as well. And one other terminal is Alacrity. Alacrity is a super simple terminal emulator. It doesn't have way too many features. You know, for example, KDE has a built-in emoji picker inside of it. So this is actually just an emoji picker. Let's say I press A, they will insert that emoji, which it currently doesn't, but we don't talk about that. And Alacrity is a pretty cool terminal emulator, right? It has a hot reloading config, which basically means that whenever you change your configuration, it just reloads out of the box. You don't need to close it and open it again or nothing like that, right? And that's it for Alacrity. Some other ones are Foot, which is a Wayland compatible terminal emulator, although you can run pretty much any of these via X-Wayland. Another thing is probably a fetch program to show off your beautiful distro's logo and some other information. You'll probably always want to use fast fetch, right? Fast fetch, as the name suggests, is a very fast fetch, and it's also maintained, unlike NeoFetch. NeoFetch is unmaintained and it just doesn't work, right? It has all of these bugs and all of that, and fast fetch works really great. Now we'll probably move on to widgets. This is the only thing that's kind of optional, right? Because you don't really need widgets. By widgets, I just mean stuff like this on your desktop. So you can see that I have this widget here, and this is not a window. I cannot move this around, I cannot close this. It's just there as an overlay. And in here I'm using NWG-wrapper for this because I am on Wayland, and this is the only option on Wayland. You have stuff like EWWW and AGS. Those use EWW actually uses YEC as a configuration language. It's kind of weird, I think it's own thing. And AGS allows you to choose some other stuff like Lua. I think AGS allows for Lua, but the main language is TypeScript, I think, or JavaScript, right? So you need to learn TypeScript and JavaScript for that. NWG-wrapper uses default Pango, right? Pango is basically this markup language. It's kind of like HTML, to put it simply, and it's very easy and simple, so I just have this widget here. On XO, however, you have this super powerful tool called Conky. Conky allows you to add all of the school system information and all of that on your desktop, and it does not work with Wayland, so it only works on XO. The other thing you'll probably want is an image viewer. I use NSXIV. This is an actually X window manager, which means it's an Xorg window manager, and it can run on Wayland with the help of Xwayland, which is what I'm doing. It follows this suckless philosophy, which basically means you can edit it or customize it by modifying the source code, right? So you can customize it however you want. All I do is just change the background color. You can do lots of stuff like change the key bindings, add even more key bindings, all of that. And you can also use it as a wallpaper picker. For example, I'm using it as a wallpaper picker right here. The way I do this is with the thumbnail mode. So I can just pass this thumbnail mode into any directory. Then once I have a wallpaper, I can press M to select it, Q to quit it, and then I can pass on any sort of command to select that wallpaper. In this case, I use swww. Now talking about wallpapers, we probably want a wallpaper engine. Now, wallpaper engines help you set this wallpaper on your screen, whereas these wallpaper pickers just show lots of wallpapers, and then once you select them, you can maybe output that to a variable or something like that, right? So on Wayland, you'd use something like swww, and also swww has animations, and it also supports animated wallpapers. And you have some other stuff like SwayBG, which is a very simple one. You can also look into MPV paper, which also supports animated wallpapers. And then you'll have some stuff like Fay for Xorg. You also have X wallpaper for Xorg. X wallpaper is a very minimal one. Your eyes is almost pretty much complete. The only thing you need now is your color scheme. Now for color schemes, I like making my own color scheme. I'm just gonna give you some tools that you'll need to pick or make a color scheme. So I can just go to this website here called terminal.sexy, which is where I made my own color scheme, and you can make pretty much any color scheme in here. You don't have to make a color scheme, right? You can just pick any of the ones from here. You can also search Reddit for color schemes, or you can just search on the internet for good color schemes. I will give some recommendations. Afterglow is a really good color scheme, and then of course you have your stuff like Node, all of that, right?
Bombocat!
Now you probably want a font as well. Now you'll always want to use a nerd font. Nerd fonts basically help you display icons. So it's just a regular font, but they also have these icons included with them. So you can simply go to like nerdfonts.com, where you can find all of these icons that are included with font. So you have like a Gave, which is a regular font, and then you create a nerd font version of it. Or you have, let's say, Anonymous Pro, which is a Mac OS font, and then you create a nerd font of it. Then you can go to the cheat sheet to find fonts here. Actually, you go to the cheat sheet to find icons. For example, if I want a Gentoo icon, then it will probably exist. I can copy that, paste it in. Serif fonts are also worth looking into, because sometimes serif fonts look really good. Some other good ones are JetBrains Mono Nerd font, right? The very classic font. And then you have some stuff like Fira Code, which is also a great font. You also have Fira Sans, which is also a great font. And also about finding wallpapers, you have a wallpaper picker, yeah, you have a wallpaper engine, cool, but you want to find a wallpaper set. And I get all of my wallpapers from Wallhaven. The way I do that is with a very simple script called Get Me More Walls. It's actually worth another video, and all it does is that I can enter in a search term, for example moss, that gets us really nice little green wallpapers, right? And then it's just gonna start fetching these pages of Wallhaven. What it's doing is that it's gonna make use of the Wallhaven API to download these wallpapers. It's actually very simple, despite being this very complex program. It's actually super simple. You just make use of the Wallhaven API, and it will download your wallpapers for you. And you can also specify the directory to download in all of that, right? And you can just manually get ones from Wallhaven as well. The website link is wallhaven.cc, and that's where you can get your wallpapers, right? So let's say you want to go to the top list, where you can find the most popular wallpapers. You've got this one, which is a really cool one that you can maybe use. You've got that. And that's pretty much it for wallpapers. That's also pretty much it for this Rising Handbook. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye bye.